Hey guys, it is Monday, and it is a very special Monday. It's Canada Day up here in Canada land. So I'm going to be pre-recording tomorrow's video so that, just in case I don't get home until ridiculous and I'm like sunburned and bug-eaten, that won't affect Tuesday's content. I will have a day to recoup well, I won't really because then I have to do Wednesdays, but there's going to be a bunch of announcements regarding boss fight loot on Wednesday to kick it up to try to hit that Friday stretch goal. Friday, as you remember, if you saw last Friday's video, if we hit the $20,000 stretch goal by Friday, and I realize I didn't check if it's Friday like midnight or Friday like end of day, but so doesn't matter. Back boss fight today, because then Ed the Sock will cosplay as the green meep from Quest for Glory. I guess we'll do that Monday instead of Friday, because I have to make the costume. And then it's gonna be the big sprint to the finish on it, which the Steam sale should be over by then. The Steam sale ends July 9th, so any leftover money can go to this. But seriously, if you care about video games, care about stopping the perpetuation of negative stereotypes about video games. We are super close to that $20,000 stretch goal, by the way. We're like only $2,000 away. So that's only a few $100 a day, and we hit it. It's totally achievable. So support Boss Fight like a good bra. And again, tune in on Wednesday for extra loot announcements. That $125 tier is going to be awesome this time around. There's a lot of loot coming in. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Like 41 million other people, I watched the Democratic debates, but I also read the coverage sort of reacting to the Democratic debates in Miami. And one of the things that came up, and this is the direct tie-in to the topic of this video, was that in feminist circles, women didn't strongly support Hillary Clinton last time around, not because they didn't think she was an excellent candidate, but because they were afraid of getting harassed online. And this made me think about the topic of this video. Do more women need video games? Hear me out. This may sound crazy out there. What are you doing? But the more I think about this and my own experiences, the more I think that resiliency is lacking. Like, I got tons of crap for, I wouldn't say supporting Hillary Clinton, because I wanted to be very clear. I was not telling anybody who to vote for because I'm not American. I feel very strongly about any foreign interference in elections, Russian or otherwise. And so I was just sort of offering information. And again, as I said at the time, it's not a binary choice. Boy, did that matter last time around. Candidates have to earn your vote. I did think that Clinton's surrogates were terrible during the last election. I thought that her entire campaign was poorly run. You guys know, I believe there are no truly bad candidates, only bad campaigns. And the election of Donald Trump showed that. He was a terrible candidate. Undisciplined, thin-skinned, kind of lazy. And Kellyanne Conway still pulled off a really good campaign. Bless her. So this time around, there's all this hand-wringing in feminist circles about whether a woman can beat Donald Trump. Some people are so gun-shy after last time that they're like, no, just run somebody who can win. I don't care who it is, just somebody who can win. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like you do all that hashtag feminism and buy the Nevertheless She Persisted t-shirt, and then you're like, no, I'm not going to vote for a woman because I don't think she can beat Donald Trump. Of course, then Kamala Harris showed up and spanked Joe Biden, and everyone, the dream is alive. And this is the problem with female socialization. Hear me out. I read an article by Michelle Goldberg, and I read her stuff even though she drives me crazy at times, because I want to see how that sort of big city establishment feminism thinks. And she said there were a lot of people that said they didn't like enthusiastically support Hillary Clinton online because they were afraid of getting harassed. They were afraid of online harassment. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Because what? It's just mean people online. You either like find it funny to run circles around them, or you mute them, or you block them, which I don't on, if I can at all avoid it. But you go on with your day. Online harassment is not that big a deal. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about doxing or all that stuff. That's ridiculous. But like, people don't have time to dox every supporter of a candidate they don't like. I'm just being careful here because there was a guy up here, a guy who was heavily involved in Canadian political Twitter, and people doxed him, but they got it wrong. Recently, they said he was a government employee and he wasn't, so it caused this whole mess, which is part of the reason I don't agree with doxing. People are far too afraid of other people's opinions, and internet anonymity gives people the ability to say certain things they otherwise wouldn't be able to say. Don't screw it up. You can't claim to be pro-free speech and then menace people into silence. That's just ridiculous. But we all know that I have had my share of people trying to do that, and they failed. And part of the reason they failed is because I've been a gamer since I was 3 years old. And I really, truly believe that combined with a lot of other factors that caused me to be socialized more masculine than most women gave me a resilience that we desperately need if, not only is a female candidate going to be elected, but women are going to support female candidates for president. Because I'm not going to be honest about what I think because I'm afraid of getting harassed. Come on. Like, men take shit online all the time, and some of it's really freaking nasty. Every time I get looped into something that's going on like at the Sox Twitter feed, I'm like, this is gross and angry compared to mine. You guys know I am very grateful that you guys are super cool and that my social media experience is mostly good, but I think part of that's the way I conduct myself. Part of that's because I don't suffer fools. Every so often it gets a little ridiculous. I handle it and I move on. And I don't think I'm tough, but I'm not that uniquely tough. I'm clever, but I'm not that uniquely clever. And so I do really believe that these are skills that can be taught. They're learned. They're not like innate. And I think a lot of it does come from gaming and the attitudes I bring to the table. And I really think that if more women just got over the negative PR and tried video games, tried a video game community, submitted to the process, for lack of a better word, and just sort of took gaming on its own terms. There are a lot of really, really great skills that you pick up from being a gamer that help offset the most nefarious of the female socializations that cause women to, for instance, like women, sex-typical women are terrified of not being liked. And there are a lot of reasons for this. It's ingrained from a very young age, more than boys get it. And it's worse than ever now. If you were born after 1980, you had it rough in that regard because everything's crowd everything. This idea of, okay, you don't like you and you don't like you and just avoid each other, stay away from each other. We're not going to smoosh you together. At some point in the mid 90s, conventional wisdom became, oh no, sit down and talk it out and let's everybody be friends because you're all on the same team here. No bullshit. There are just some people who are never going to get along. And it's adulting to realize that and go, look, you go over there, I'll go over there. We're not going to get in each other's faces. We just don't like each other. Period. End of story. It ain't that deep. You're not allowed to do that anymore. Whereas with gaming, you're always going to encounter assholes. Why? Because there are assholes everywhere. But gaming's a fairly... It's a tightly knit community in interesting ways. And so you tend to just run into more assholes because you run into more of everyone. The way these games work now with, hundreds, if not thousands of people interacting and message boards where hundreds, if not thousands of people are interacting and social media where millions of people are interacting, just percentages, law of averages indicates you're going to run across a few assholes and you can either let them run you off or you can go, no, final boss. Let's go. Boss fight, right? And I really do think that thing that gaming, classic gaming anyway, drummed into you before all the games got nerfed and were easy so they were accessible, even though difficulty and accessibility are not the same thing. But back in the day when you actually needed a modicum of skill to complete the campaign in a game, it was you worked at it until you got it right. Some of those, what was it? Level 9-3, 9-1 on the original Super Mario Brothers? That thing was a beast. Like, you needed to work for that to get through it. And Battletoads, even some Metroid stuff was tough, right? Like, there were some challenges back in the day. And the thing about a game is unless it's broken, and then it's broken, you go into a video game knowing it is beatable. You just have to stick with it. And I remember playing, oh my God, that annoying double boss format in Ninja Gaiden 2, where you started with this triple level giant dude where you had to climb up and you think he's final boss. And so you go through all your heals just getting through him. And then you find out, no, there's another guy on top of that with area of effect attacks. Screw you, punked. And I had one heal, one health potion, med pack. I don't remember what it was called in that game. But I remember it drove me crazy trying to beat this thing. And it was for a review, so it was on a deadline. And I beat it. And I kept telling myself, this is beatable. This is beatable. They designed this to psych you out, but it is beatable. They wouldn't do this with no takebacks unless it was beatable. And finally, I got the SOB. And then I was like, I stood up, I threw the controller down on the couch, went, fuck you, game, and I walked out of the room. But I beat it. And that's the gamer mentality. You stick with it. Anybody who saw some of my Sekiro playthroughs, I was like, "Arr!" But I stuck with it. I stuck with it till I beat it. Screw those headless apes. But gamers, I guess, are masochists, but we also realize games put challenges in front of us that are winnable. They are beatable. And life is like that too. Now, you have to go into it to a right attitude. You have to properly assess victory conditions. You have to set your expectations so that it is beatable. And that's where game theory comes into it, with getting over this female socialization of, oh, what if I get harassed? So what? So what? You can turn that into a victory, right? Because the way you do that is, okay, I'm going to have an opinion, and there's a high likelihood that somebody's going to come at me for it. So my victory condition is, say, for instance, somebody's going to come at me online and I'm not going to lose my shit and start swearing at them. Something like that. I'm just going to laugh it off. I'm going to keep a good sense of humor. And so then everything becomes gamified. And so when this guy's, coming at you and saying really nasty stuff and all that stuff, you're like, it's a game with yourself. And he just becomes, a part of the game. And so no matter how bad it gets, it's like, whatever, my victory condition is not losing it. And so eventually you just go, yep, okay, I'm done, mute, I win. I didn't lose it. I engage with this guy for a half hour to, sometimes 2 days. That's my cutoff. If somebody continues to be an idiot for 2 days, I'm like, no, this is going nowhere. But I kept my cool. I win. That's how you set expectations, and that's how you keep a positive outlook online. Because one of the things you either learn or you quit is that the vast majority of people who give you a hard time online are just miserable little shit posters who are going to forget about you, when you're not right in front of them, because they're going to find somebody else to give a hard time to. Occasionally you do come across someone who is dangerous, but that is very rarely just a random encounter online. There is usually something personal about that. So if you don't get too attached, if you don't get too deep in to some of these communities, you won't have a problem. Now that's very hard to do because gaming communities become tight-knit really fast. But if you're worried about this stuff, just don't get too close to people. Don't tell them very much about you. Don't give them too much personal information. Turn location searches off, for God's sakes. It's harmless. Even though they say they're gonna do all this stuff, and one group of little idiots found the picture of my old house on Google Earth and started posting it. And so the first thing I checked, because the first thing, oh my God, they took a picture of my house. First thing I thought to check, go look at what the photo is for that address. They got my address up. Long story how they did it, but these guys cannot get me. They are not waiting outside my house. It is just a psych out tactic. Again, it's a game. You win if you keep your cool. And once you start playing it that way, things very rarely really bother you. It's all about mindsets. It's all about mentality. And this is the stuff learned through gaming. Gaming can teach resilience like nothing else I've ever encountered. Provided you don't play on easy mode. Don't play on easy mode. You are cheating yourself playing on easy mode. Don't play just for the story. Experience the gameplay. And so that's why I do stuff like Lady Bits. That's why I do stuff like Boss Fight, because I want more women to experience games, because there's a lot of great things about them. And, they're only going to get more interesting with the content, especially with the proliferation of indie games. My God, there's something for every taste out right now, right there. And if you don't like the big AAA games, you end up saving a lot of money. Because these games are like $9. Speaking of which, by the way, tomorrow on Twitch, Red Leanna K on Twitch, I am going to be playing the demo of the Crimson Diamond, which is a classic style adventure game that on my Twitch channel. The developer, Julia Minamata, I hope I said that right, is going to be in chat answering your questions. So that's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, I mean, there's so much out there, and there's so many great people who play, because gaming's so big, and it's very rewarding. And I really want more people, not just women, but I think women benefit particularly from those skills I just discussed. I want people to benefit from video games the way I have, and they're not going to do that if they don't sample it, because they're too afraid of getting harassed. The gaming industry leaning into that stigma, I still will not understand. It was ridiculous. It was short-sighted. It was trying to appease God knows who, but it was a blunder, and we're still picking up the pieces from that. And so boss fights gonna help do that, because it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be informative and all the good things. So I'm gonna wrap there for now. Hope you enjoyed that. Support boss fight like a good bra. There we go. Support boss fight like a good bra. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow we're gonna be talking about forget female president, forget person of color president. Is America ready for a gaming president? Bit of a goofy idea, but hear me out tomorrow. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching.